I'm getting like heart palpitations.
Yeah, I forgot we had to do this now.
I'm getting nervous.
Why is it blinking? What happened, bro?
It's dying.
No mames. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Gemini Therapy. I'm your how do you say it?
Talk show host.
I'm your talk show host, Lindsay.
And I am Gladys, her co-host. Anyways, and you're tuning into episode 3 of Gemini Therapy Volume 2.
Ew.
Wow. Okay, so there's another elephant. It's like every episode that we come back to, we have something new. So today,
It's bigger and better.
we have mics.
Yeah.
Hello.
We look professional
It's
now.
me. No.
I'm not going to try to sing.
Okay,
I'm
go.
not going to do that.
Okay, so like I'm kind of nervous. Okay, let's get to
All right.
it.
So this week's episode, we're going to be talking about anxiety, depression, postpartum depression, right?
We're just going in.
Mental health, like all of the above. We're going to tell you guys some of our experiences, and also we posted on Instagram and we got like a lot of feedback from a bunch of you. So
I just want to say that we're not going to say who's who, and we're going to change like a lot of the words because a lot of people did use like their personal names, and we are not going to include that because I just feel like it's none of anybody's business. They had the comfort, I guess, to share with us, and I want them to continue feeling that way, like with videos later on. So I think it's just best if we don't mention names. So yeah, with that being said, I do want to say, after posting that, I realized that as women, we just go through so much, and maybe not just women, like men too, you know what I mean? Like just life is hard, but we go through it alone, and we kind of don't realize that there's people out there that are going through the same things that we are. So just remember that you're not alone. There's always help out there. And yeah, like I feel one main thing that I really, really want to say also about this topic is what works for you or what works for us
may not
work for everybody. So it's kind of like go on your own, at your own pace, I guess you can say. Do what works for you.
Yeah.
And you'll get through it.
Yep. So we're going to start off by saying, do we struggle with anxiety, depression? Did we go through postpartum depression and stuff like that? So,
I mean, the answer is obviously yes. I feel like no matter what, when it comes to postpartum, and I'm just going to go into that because that's what's most recent for me. When you go through postpartum, I think everybody goes through a sense of postpartum, whether you're at postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum at a 10 or postpartum at a 1, you're in it. Because your hormones are just so out of whack that no matter what, you're going to go through it. Whether you want to admit it or not, you're there. That's just how I feel. If you don't go through postpartum, you're like 1 in a million.
I don't know. From an outsider, would you say that I had postpartum depression?
I didn't know you after Grecia, and I don't think it's fair to say that you had postpartum depression because you lost your daughter.
But I wouldn't say that I did. I was very, 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 very scared. But I don't know if...
What was that, anxiety? You can't call it postpartum depression. You were depressed. You lost a baby. It might not be postpartum, but it's post-loss, like...
But I still had her. So...
Yeah, and then you dealt with postpartum depression on top of a death.
That's like mind-blowing to me, dude.
You're dealing with postpartum depression at the same time that you're dealing with grieving your child, at the same time that you're like your body's trying to heal from a 10-month process of growing a human inside you who is no longer by your side. Like, that's just...
What the hell happened?
Literally.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what I felt times like 100.
I had never like thought of it like that. Like, did I go through it or did I not? Or did I just go with it like day by day? Because if you ask me, I'd say no, like no, because hearing what other people go through in postpartum depression, like, it doesn't sound like I had it.
But everybody goes through it differently.
Yeah. I remember the most ugliest thing was my boobs were hard as rocks
After
after Lucia.
Lucia.
Like, that's the part. That's the one thing that I can remember.
Because of the milk.
Yeah. Like, I had such a huge, like, I don't want to say like production because obviously they literally
Supply.
told me, like, yeah, that supply. They told me, like, don't, literally, like, cold turkey, just leave them alone. I would spend hours in the shower just letting hot water hit my chest because I needed to let it out. And I was standing in the shower freaking like crying, sobbing because I was like,
Letting go of food.
what should have
Basically.
been feeding my daughter. That was like the hardest.
Just watching it all flow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of sad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I remember, now that you're on the topic of breastfeeding, I felt like breastfeeding was so hard for me because, and we talked to one of their followers about that. Social media just puts you in this mindset and it makes you believe like it has to be this way or no way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just convinced that I had to produce 40 freaking ounces of milk because everybody on TikTok had an oversupply and I was only producing 4 ounces. And
No
I was
way.
just so exhausted. And I remember I was pumping like every hour. I did
Trying to just up.
power pump, like, and I remember Marky pulling me away and he was like,
You're driving yourself crazy.
literally, he was like, you're a zombie. We need you back. Like, stop pumping, stop breastfeeding. It's sucking the life out of you. Like, you need to be here.
Yeah.
I was not myself. I remember I would wake up, like, I was just like, and it's so sad because, and I've never admitted it to anybody before, but I'm already going to cry. And I told you I wasn't going to cry.
Dude, I'm gonna cry. I know it.
I've never admitted it to anybody before, but I remember sitting in my living room by myself. Marky was only with us for a week, I think, and then he had to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting there and holding Kati, and I was breastfeeding her, and I remember thinking, like, why am I so sad if I prayed for this for so long? I have everything that I want, and I'm not happy. Like,
It didn't make sense.
it didn't make sense to me. And I remember I would never tell anybody. Like, when I was alone, that's when I would cry. And I remember sitting in the middle of the night breastfeeding her, and I would look at her and I was so in love, and I just loved her so much. I had no words to describe how much I loved her.
Mm-hmm.
But I still felt a sense of sadness and I had no idea where it was coming from. And it just feels so ugly.
Yeah. It's an ugly feeling.
And I was so scared that because you hear these stories of people wanting to do things to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being so scared, like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
I can't imagine what those people are dealing with. It's got to be some hardcore stuff. It can't be like, it has to be. I just wish they didn't turn on their kids the way that most of them do. But anyways, so you would say that you did.
I think I did go through postpartum.
Did you ever tell a doctor or anything?
No, hell no. I was
You never
so
admitted
scared.
it.
No, I didn't even admit it to myself until now, until after I was out of postpartum depression. That's when I admitted it to myself.
How did you know you were out of it?
I just started feeling like I wasn't under a freaking cloud all the time. I just felt so like, wah. Literally, like I have no other way to describe it other than wah.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And I just felt like I bloomed.
Like you were okay.
Mm-hmm. I just came back. Like, I'm good. And I just feel bad for those that it lasts longer than it does, like than it did me. And if you ask me, well, how did you deal with it? I honestly don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I cannot look back and tell you, well, I did this. I looked at myself in the mirror and talked to myself. I can't. Because I honestly don't know how I got through it. I just did.
My daughter was she was literally my savior. If it wasn't for Grecia, dude,
Where would you be right now? We weren't gonna cry.
We weren't. It's hard. But she saved me. And I've never. It's such a ugly thing to like even think about. But I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Now. You're okay now.
Yes.
And it took time, but you're here.
Yes. And thank God for her. Because shit was rough. It was really hard. And I feel like sometimes even not now, but there's days I don't feel like that anymore. Like those feelings were very like fresh and
When it first
recent.
happened.
Yeah. Like I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like I didn't know how to adjust to what my new reality was gonna be like. Even though we thought like the what ifs, we prepared ourselves for, well, if this happens, like it's gonna be okay. There was a reason why, like we talked about it all. Even though I knew that there was that chance that she wasn't gonna make it, I thought like you're gonna be fine.
I feel like you always have. I feel like as a mom, you never want to give up on that hope, and you're never prepared. Although you say, "I thought about it," and I said, I'm gonna be okay.
Like I
It's
tried
gonna
to
be
prepare
okay."
myself.
You're
for
never
it.
prepared for something like that.
I freaking wasn't, dude. I wasn't. And a lot of the days were freaking dark and gray and black. It was terrible. It was very, 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 very scary. So, with that being said, what do you feel is like your lowest? How do you know when you were at your lowest point? Or like, do you have those low points today?
Hey, Lindsay, I don't know. I feel like I remember. I think I blocked out a lot of my postpartum depression moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember a lot of it. I think a lot of it is just dark for me. If you ask anybody, and I've said it a couple of times, and Marky gets mad at me so much, and I always tell him like I'm such a bad mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like not always. I don't always say it, but I've said it a couple of times. I'm such a bad mom, and he looks at me. He's like, "Shut up! Don't ever say that. Like, don't you ever say that." But I remember when she was baby, I remember feeling that way. Like I'm not deserving to be a mother. I'm not. Like I prayed and I wanted you so much. Like this is what I prayed for 5-6 years, and I have it here,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't. I remember feeling that way. Why? I don't know.
And what about in your life today?
I can tell you that I'm probably my happiest right now.
You don't have like dark days.
I have irritable days. I have annoyed days. I have mad days. I have days where I just want to be alone. I have days where I want to go drop her off with my mom so that I can get a few hours to myself because I'm anxious. I have a lot on my mind and I just want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot tell you that I've had a day where I'm like in a bubble of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I honestly cannot tell you that.
And how
And
do you...
I feel like I'm very lucky to be able to say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm like an anxious ball right now.
I can see you.
How do you deal with mom guilt? Because I know every mom has mom guilt. Do you have mom guilt?
All the time. All the time. I have mom guilt all the time. Right. All this week, my stepmom is on vacation with my dad. I've had to take Katy to my suegra's every day all week because I had so much work. And the whole perfect example. Tuesday, I called my suegra to see what Katy was doing because I was leaving here from work to go to lunch. And I asked her what she was doing. And she said she's napping. So I went home and I made myself some food at home. Usually I go eat over there with her. And I was eating and she texted me and she just woke up. It had been 20 minutes and I was sitting down and I was eating. I had just sat down. I was watching Sweet Magnolias on Netflix, like my time. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to stay here. Like, and I was like, you're really not going to go see your daughter during lunchtime? Like, why?
Yeah.
Because you want to spend time by yourself? Get your fucking ass up and go see her. I was so guilty. I felt so guilty because I just wanted to be alone.
Yeah.
Like I was enjoying myself, like off time. I'm not at work. I'm not doing anything. I'm just chilling. And then the guilt sank in.
Yeah.
And I got up and I left and I went because I felt bad.
Oh my God. Why is that a thing?
I don't know. I think we're straying off though. Going back, do you think if it weren't for Grecia already being in your life, would you and Bert still be together?
Damn it. It's hard, dude. Like at times like that, you really need to lean on each other. You need to learn how to lean on each other. And I'm happy to say now that we were able to learn to cope, because a lot of it was me. I did a lot of like pushing away. And
From him?
yeah, I pushed him away. Like bad.
Were you mad at him?
No. He wasn't like, he didn't. I feel like the way that I wanted to cope is the way that I wanted him. Like, I wanted to see him crying 24/7. But he's not, anyone that knows him knows that he's nothing like that. So the way that, like, I saw him, like, living life, I was like, how do I do that? How do I get there? And I didn't know.
Were you kind of jealous of him? That he was already like
I
nonchalant living life and you were still here?
I don't know if you'd call it jealous, but I knew that I didn't want to feel the way that I did. I wouldn't say jealous.
It was kind of like, lucky you.
Yeah, like, you're not sad.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, like, yes, I'm not saying that it didn't hurt him, that it doesn't hurt the dads, but I just feel that as the mother, you feel it a little bit more because you carried that baby inside you for 9 months. You went through everything. You went through you birthed a whole human.
You went through
I went through
three punctures in your back. You had a
6.
C-section. 6 punctures in your back. I'm sorry.
I had to get 4 epidurals and 2 spinal blocks. And nothing was working, while there was like being in a room with freaking 30 doctors, not knowing. I may need my citalopram after this. I should have taken one before. Not knowing if I was even gonna like hear her cry or not. So after we got home, like, I went through it and I pushed him away. We went for sure at least 5 days. We were in the same house. We were working together, literally together 24/7, and I wouldn't say a word to him. Not one word.
Looking back, do you feel bad about it?
Yes. Do I freaking regret it? Yes. I feel terrible that I did it. And now, like, we sat down and we had like the longest conversation we've probably ever had. And we were able to like communicate our feelings. And he explained to me how he dealt with it and how he was also sad and how he would cry or what have you on his own time when he was at work, when he was by himself. But how did like the way he explained it was, how can I break down when I have to be strong for you? Because if you see me like lose my shit, where are we gonna end up? What's gonna happen to her? Like, we can't have two parents losing their shit. And now looking back at it, I don't think that was fair on my part, because I took it like it only happened to me. And it's not just you that it happens to. The dad is the dad. That's her father, like the baby's father. Like, it was very selfish of me to feel
That
like
way.
that.
But at the time, your feelings were valid, and that's how you were feeling. If you would have communicated sooner,
we could have prevented all of that.
Yeah.
That's
just shit you learn through life.
Yeah.
Just saying. Well, now that we've hit the topics of depression, let's jump into anxiety, because let me tell you that I suffer from social anxiety. I suffer from, I don't know, other anxieties. I had never suffered from social anxiety. I had been a very outgoing, and I can still say that I am an outgoing person, but now I can tell you that I go out somewhere and I'm literally just like
watching your surroundings.
I don't know if it's because of what's going on in the news with everything like kidnapping and all that stuff. I don't know if it's because of the shootings. The other day, Marky and I went to the movies.
And you're waiting for someone to walk in with the freaking gun.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I get like anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens to me, dude. I don't know. How do you feel? I'm gonna go back to like, how do you feel about being put on medication?
I feel like if you need it, go for it. I've had a very, very, very close person in my life go through depression, and they were put on medication and they became somebody that we did not know.
Mm-hmm.
They became someone not themselves and would act out very weird.
Mm-hmm.
And they were literally a zombie. And once they were off that medication and dealt with their depression in a different way, I felt like it was way better. However, if you find a medication that works for you, then that's freaking amazing. But in the situation that I've seen, like what I've seen, I didn't like how it worked for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do know somebody else who deals with massive anxiety and have to drink Xanax on the daily to just be able to live life regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And that works for them, and we're all for it if that's what works for them, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about close people, like very close to me. You just mentioned, are you on medication right now?
No. My mom told me last night, though, that I needed to be.
Why? Because of your anxiety, or?
Because I said something to her and she was like, you need your happy pills. Yeah.
I can only imagine what you said. Going back to anxiety. I've heard you so many times say, my legs have anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
How do your legs have anxiety?
I feel like I need to get up and run.
Like, but
I'm
what do
gonna
you
get tired.
But what do you mean, like my legs have anxiety?
Like, have you ever felt like you just need a freaking stretch?
No, but I feel like my body, like sometimes, and I'm like, ugh.
That's it.
And then I like chill.
Have you ever been asleep at night and you feel like you want to freaking punch the wall?
No, ma'am.
Wow, dude.
Oh, I got the chills.
You're lucky.
So your body gets anxiety.
Like, I couldn't sleep last night. I literally got up like twice and I would wake up Bert. Well, he wasn't asleep yet. And I would tell him, like, I freaking have anxiety so bad. And he when he gets it, like, he'll get into a little ball and, like, lay on his arms, put all his weight on his arms. And that's usually what works, like, when I feel it in my arms.
I've done that one time.
And that's how I'm able to fall asleep.
You see, and my anxiety comes more like in, like, I feel very heavy here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
you can't breathe.
Oh, and then I have to like literally like talk to myself, like calm myself down, close your eyes, meditate, and That's how I deal with my anxiety.
Yeah, there's different ways that you can cope with it. There's different ways, like everyone gets it in their own way. I feel like I don't get like anxiety attacks. I don't think. My cues are like this. I'm like just shaking nonstop. What's another thing? I don't know. What do I do?
I
When
don't
can
know.
you tell?
I flare my nostrils.
Yeah, you were telling me that the other day.
Like literally, and I cannot control it. And
You blink.
and I blink a lot. You know that I'm anxious or like I have a lot on my mind and I'm super stressed when when I uncontrollably flare my nostrils and cannot stop blinking.
Yeah, see.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into our phones, Lindsay. Let's bust out the good stuff.
What's the good stuff?
Well, I have a couple of messages from some people here that I am going to share. Let me read this one first. This one deals with postpartum depression and anxiety. My experience with postpartum depression was something I never would have expected up until my daughter's birth. I had never experienced depression, anxiety, etc. Through unexpected timing, I had my baby on a Saturday, and by Tuesday, we were moving into our new house in a new city. My husband started a new job, and I took time off from mine to be a stay-at-home mom with my first baby. Being in a new city was very difficult for me. Our families were close to 3 hours away, and my husband was working nights. My husband got to stay with me and our newborn at home for the first 2 days, and then it was back to work. The amount of fear I felt when he would leave to work was unimaginable. I could not sleep even when baby girl would sleep. The countless what ifs would constantly play in my mind. When I tell you that I had every single what if drawn up in my head, I meant it. The anxiety didn't stop there. I was terrified to leave the house with my baby. If my husband couldn't go with us, we did not leave the house. Again, all the what ifs just piled into my head. I will never forget the first outing with just her and I. An HEB run where I prayed no one would approach us. We got off, got the few items that we needed, checked out, and I get back in my car and just cry while feeling a sense of relief all at once. It was at that moment I knew what I was going through. Looking back, what helped me the most was going back to work and honestly just talking about it. I began working in our new community, and after that, my anxiety has gotten so much better. Several of my best friends are moms, and a few of them actually had babies around the same time that I did. So, really talking about what I was feeling and knowing that I wasn't alone was very comforting for me. Imagine.
I mean, yeah, you feel it. I feel it today.
What do you mean you feel it today?
Like the anxiety that she has, especially after bringing a baby into this world. Your first baby at that.
I'm going to admit something to you. And I don't want you to get offended because I don't hold it against you, and I hope you don't ever hold it against me either. Since knowing everything that you've been through.
Why are you going to cry?
Because I'm admitting something to you that I've never wanted to tell you.
Am I going to get mad or am I going to cry?
No, I don't think so. I remember when I was pregnant, I always thought like the worst, and I feel like moms always do. Like when you're pregnant,
You're scared.
Yeah. And I remember thinking like, well, what if this happens? And you have all the what ifs in your head. And I remember, well, in a sense, if anything does happen, I'll be fine. Lindsay did it. I can do it too. And I remember that I would always just think that way. And I would always just say like, well, Lindsay could help me get through it. Like, and I hate it now that I look back at it, because you should never think like that. Like, you should never think that something's gonna happen. But I feel like there's just so much more in the world. And with TikTok, like, you get to see a lot of that stuff. And you see there's so many kids out there who are born and they go directly into like a feeding tube and directly into this. And you always think, what if it was me? What if that's me? So I remember being pregnant and watching those videos, and I would always think that way, like what if?
But I would say that's pretty normal because I did it. Like, I searched up so many videos Of course, those people were not okay because they had already lost their children, but they were there. They were sitting there making a video on it. There was one girl that I used to follow. Her story brought me hope. Her baby's still alive. After my baby, I deleted her because I was angry. Like, how come your baby survived and mine didn't? Like, I don't want to see your baby. And it wasn't just with one person.
This one is another postpartum anxiety. You want to read it? Oh, no, but you have to change names.
Oh, no, you do it. You do it. I can't think that fast.
Okay. My postpartum anxiety was so bad that I was convinced that if my baby wasn't laying 100% flat on its back with its head facing 100% straight up, it was going to die. I used to sit there and adjust its head to be perfectly straight if it barely turned it to the side when it was sleeping, because I saw a TikTok that talked about how a baby's breathing tube is like a straw that can be bent if their head is not positioned correctly when they are sleeping. I did this for months. Same thing in the car seat. I would be repositioning its head the whole car ride. I didn't sit in front until it was a year old. I'm going to say she. They don't know anyways. She was a year old. Now that I look back, I know it was all related to my horrific postpartum anxiety. I already deal with anxiety, and postpartum just made it worse. My anxiety also made me not want to give my baby a bottle of breast milk instead of breastfeeding directly. Nursing really meant a lot to me, and I was stubborn that if she drank breast milk from a bottle that she would get nipple confusion and or I would lose my milk. She had a bottle maybe 5 to 6 times her whole life, and each time, even if I pumped, I got anxiety for days that my milk supply was going to drop, so I didn't let anyone give her a bottle. I was just talking to my husband about this the other day, that back in those days, I had too much time to watch TikToks that would send my anxiety through the roof, and I was miserable. There's that one. Now here's another one. I had really bad depression when I had my miscarriage with an unplanned pregnancy. Then I felt so empty, so we started trying to get pregnant again. And I didn't end up pregnant until 3 months after my miscarriage. Once I gave birth to my baby, I was good for the first week. Then postpartum depression hit so hard. I would cry every day and lash out on everyone. I loved my baby since day one, but I couldn't be around my baby alone. I was scared and I would get mad at my husband when he would pick up extra shifts and leave me alone for days so that he could work. But then my sister-in-law was the first to ask how I was doing mentally, and she knew. So she started to help me more and more and took care of my baby so I could go out and be alone and just relax. I felt so shitty wanting to stop breastfeeding because it was so draining, but it felt selfish to take away from my baby for my own health, but I needed to do what was best for me. When I went to my follow-up, I lied on my depression checklist. I was scared that they would take my baby away. My husband was supportive and understanding, thank God, but it took me until I was 4 months postpartum to feel good again. We just said that earlier. Mm-hmm. That we would you lie on your postpartum?
Yes.
I think everybody lies, right?
I lost my baby and they're freaking asking me, are you depressed? No. Make it make sense, dude. Like, are you depressed? No. I'm fine.
I'm okay.
Dude, seriously, like, in all honesty, it took me 3 years, 2.5, to go get help. Because I was like aferrada, like I'm fine. I don't need it. I'm okay. I don't need to rely on pills. You saw the way that I was. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was, how would you describe it?
I feel like you were very gray, mad, and empty. Mm-hmm. Because we would talk to you, but you weren't there. We would try to make you laugh and you would like, And I was like, oh, okay. She's in her moments. Mm-hmm. It's a day. Like, even your face. Like, I remember you would walk in and I would look at you and I was like, okay, today's one of those days for
like
Lindsay.
She's having a day.
And you had your good days and you had your bad days, and I could tell right away when you would walk in what day was what. And even if I couldn't tell, just by the way that you told me good morning, I already knew. If you would come in and say, "Hi, Clarence,"
it was a good day.
It was a good day. If you would come in and say, "Hey," it was a bad day.
I had what? Better days or bad days?
You had more bad days than better days.
Yeah.
A lot of bad days.
It took what? I think I went like a whole week at work. Not like literally like avoiding y'all. I felt like I would avoid you guys.
I legit thought you were mad at me at one point.
No.
Like I was like, what the fuck did I do? This girl's mad at me.
You know what? That's something else that I want to touch on. But yeah, it took me 2 years to finally accept like you need to be put on something. You need help. And
one of our sorry, I'm gonna stop you in your tracks before I forget. One of our followers actually said that it's okay to get medication and to get help, because when she did it, that's what saved her. So I feel like that's very important. And she said, if it's gonna help others to know that, I just want everybody to know that it's okay to rely on medication for help.
I took it for maybe a month. And then I stopped. I haven't taken a pill. I was prescribed citalopram for my my mom calls them happy pills because my mom takes them too. But if my mom doesn't take them, she'll literally cry like every single day. She literally needs them. And last night, I feel like I'm going through it. So last night I said, what did I say? I was like, I feel like no one understands me. I feel like I don't have anybody. Like, I haven't even told you this.
I know. I'm kind of like,
I thought you were my BFF.
Well, how can I be your best friend if you don't tell me anything?
Like you're saying.
Yes.
No, because it happens. Like sometimes I don't want to bother anybody with my problems. Everybody has shit.
I don't think that's what it is. I think that if you say it, then you feel like it's true. And if you kind of avoid it, then you're putting it in the back burner and you're not paying attention to it. Honestly, I think that's what it is, because every freaking time that I talk to you, I tell you, I'm here for you. If you need me, I'm here for you.
I know. So I said, I was like, I feel like everyone's just pushing my buttons. And I wanted to start crying. And she's like, happy pills are right there. Take one. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Because when I was taking them, maybe it was the wrong one. Maybe it just didn't work for me. I felt, I don't know if it's normal. Maybe like that was like normal me. And I just haven't felt like that in forever. That I was like, no, I don't like it. Like I feel like a zombie. But maybe that's normal. Maybe I didn't even give them a chance to like.
You felt like a zombie? Because I know a lot of people that say I feel like a zombie.
Yeah, like I was sleepy, dude. All I wanted to do is sleep. When I don't think it's supposed to give you that effect. Like I thought it was supposed to make you get out of bed. And I'd be at work literally falling asleep.
Oh, no.
And I never went back. Like I never went back. I have them there. But they don't do that to my mom. So I don't know, like, if I should have gone back and been like, hey, they didn't work out for me. Like, can you give me something else to try? Or if
if they work for your mom, then why wouldn't they work? I mean, then it's probably, like, not why wouldn't they work for you, but, like, if they work for her, then maybe something else will work for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think I've just gotten so good at it. I mean, no.
No, that's what you want to say. I've gotten so good at being depressed, basically.
Yeah. No.
But that's not a healing.
No.
I honestly think you need therapy. Okay, let me rephrase that. I honestly think you would benefit from therapy. Because I cannot tell you need something. I don't know what you need, but I think you would benefit from it.
I think so.
I mean a real therapist, not me.
I think I'm getting real close to like that. Like maybe I need to talk to someone. because writing it on paper doesn't work for me anymore. It never did.
So journaling, what was your...
I tried. It didn't work. Like, I got tired of writing, and I was like,
Never ended. The story never ended.
Mm-mm. So, I don't remember where I was going with the story that I was saying. I don't remember.
We're going to end it there.
I had a brain burn. But we're going to go towards another...
Story time?
Like, yeah,
Someone else's experience.
Yeah, sent this in, and she said that her therapist saved her life. So she said, and I feel like I can relate to her on so many levels. But she said, I'm not one to open up, but considering National Suicide Prevention Week is coming up, I feel I do need to get this message out there for the sake of others struggling with their mental health. After my stillbirth last year, I felt so empty, struggling with grief after loss and all the postpartum hormones and depression. I just felt like a ghost. I'm emotionally reserved, and all I can remember is my family trying to break in and let them help me. I just couldn't. Nothing sank in until getting home after the hospital that I was able to lay on my stomach and realizing it that I cracked open. I was so lost in my emotions and feeling everything at once. The aftershock, the disbelief, and disappointment. Second pregnancy loss, by the way. I walked around as a ghost for almost 3 months, pretending I was handling it better than I actually was. I couldn't bring myself to care about anyone around me. I withdrew myself from everything, and it was so scary. And it wasn't until then that the guilt hit me, and I finally had a clear thought about my family and how they didn't deserve just how easily I was letting myself slip away. I immediately found a therapist specializing in grief and postpartum trauma, and she honestly saved my life. She helped me sort through every emotion and actually feel rather than bottling it away like I usually did. Half the time, I didn't even know about all the emotions I was capable of feeling, but I can honestly say she helped me heal in ways I never thought possible and still helps me to this day. I can truthfully say, in that time of darkness, I never saw myself getting out of it, and you may think that whatever you're going through is never ending as well, but we are so strong. Eventually, we'll get through it. This is your sign to seek help, even though you think you can do it alone. Amen. Mental health matters, and often postpartum itself is overlooked. It's okay to not be okay. Talk to someone.
I got the chills.
Honestly, dude, I'm gonna go look for a therapist.
I say go for it. I mean, if you feel like that's what's going to help you. And you know what? I just want to say, like, for anybody that feels right now, like anybody that's watching right now, if you feel sad, if you're depressed, if you have anxiety, if you feel like you want to commit suicide,
Someone needs you here.
Most definitely, for sure. And I just want you to know that it's not bad to feel that way. There's a reason you're feeling that way, and there is help, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. You're going to get through it. It might not be tomorrow, and not might be a month from now, but you're going to get through it, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But I can guarantee you that at the end, everything that you went through will be a little tiny piece of sand compared to what you're going to have after. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Like, you feel right now like you're freaking... I was gonna say...
Say it.
I was gonna say...
Say it.
sinking and freaking...
At the same time. Frinking. You're frinking.
You're sinking, like, to the bottom of the ocean. But hopefully, and we pray that once you get like out of it, but are you really out of it?
I feel like you learn to deal with it. And you will. I feel like one day we're going to be sitting down, you and I, and you're going to tell me, remember when I told you that I was just learned to live with it? I'm here now. You've come this far in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how far are you going to come in 6? And I feel only you can do that. Only you can do that for yourself. I cannot do that for you, and a therapist cannot do that for you. They might be able to help you, but only you can do what you want to do for yourself.
Yeah.
And for her.
Right. They say you can't help anyone who doesn't want to help themselves.
Correct. I feel like that's very important too. Now, if you are like at the bottom of the bottom, and I feel like this also goes a lot for like people that are like, because some people deal with anxiety and depression and they just like turn to drugs, but in the bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the way of like, oh, I'm helping, like this is medication to help me cope. No, like they turn to drugs to just kind of like sink away and not feel numb.
It happens.
And alcohol and drugs. And I feel like that's just like, once you're ready to stop, I'm not judging you. I am not judging you at all, because that's what's working for you right now, and that's what's coping you. I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're ready to stop and you're ready to face reality and face what's really happening to you, then you'll get through it.
Yeah.
Because right there, you're just sinking yourself down.
I feel like it also takes a lot to realize what it is that you're doing to pull yourself out of it. Because that's not easy either.
Yeah.
Like realizing like, hey, I'm messing up. I need to quit my shit and get myself together.
I just want to say, like, there's so much different forms of anxiety and depression. Like, we received so many messages. Like, we didn't even read half of what we received.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that were dealing with like eating disorders because of their anxiety. There's people that are dealing with trauma and anxiety due to medical conditions that they were medical diagnosis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, in a sense, that some people can never get away from it. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
like medical diagnosis, let's say if you were diagnosed with cancer, you can say you're coping with it. You can say you're living with it. You learn to live with it. But at the end of the day, every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, every 2 years, you have to go back and get those scans, and you're always scared, and you're always facing that trauma of what if that one scan comes back
Mm-hmm.
and I get it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like there's so many different situations that right now we're just talking about postpartum because that's everything that we received and that's what we've been through. And I just feel like the topic of mental health and depression, anxiety is just way wider than what we know.
Oh yeah. That's one thing.
Exactly. That's what we experience. So imagine
everybody, everything else, every other, like, I can't wrap my head around it, but I just hope that everyone that's dealing with this kind of, or like any kind of anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, like, I hope that some way, like, you heal your heart and you're able to overcome like all of everything that, like, just everything
you're feeling.
Yeah.
Do you think you're traumatized from what you went through?
Hell yeah. Yes.
I feel like I'm traumatized with what you went through.
For a long time, for the past 3 days, I've had 3 days.
3 days.
For the past 3 days, my baby fever has been crazy.
Aww.
Like, Bert and I have been watching like all of her baby videos, and we're like, let's do it. Like, let's
do it. I'll do it with you.
But
I'm gonna call you tonight and be like, Lindsay, are you ready? Set, go. Okay, let's go.
But at the same time, it's scary.
Yeah. But we go back to everybody has the what ifs. Are your what ifs different?
A little bit.
You know what I mean?
But I always tell myself, I also can't dwell on the one that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, because I have a perfectly smart, healthy, beautiful 6-year-old. It just, I was
in
that
the books.
1 in 1,000. It was us. It was our family, and it's not just me that it happens to. There's so many people in this town, dude, that it's happened to, but nobody says anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know about anything. I mean, and it's not our place to say it. It's not their place to say it. It's not, they don't want to share it. They don't have to share it.
I didn't want to say it. I hadn't told anybody. I was telling YouTube because nobody knows me, like, personally on YouTube, besides what I choose to share for my viewers to see on my channel. Had you not seen that video, like, nobody in town was gonna know what we were going through.
I am a chismosa.
Yes. No, dude, you're literally like an angel
I love you.
to us.
Thanks.
Always. I'm gonna cry. You always be like, you know who you are.
Yeah. Special.
Yes. Always. But I just wish people going through similar situations didn't feel alone. Like, don't feel alone, because it's not just happening to you. There's so many other women, mothers out there going through no.
People.
Yeah.
Men go through it too.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. I feel like, yes, I want one. I'm still kind of scared. But I trust in God.
I was going to say, I think from where we were last year to now, you've come a long way. And I think you might be. If your heart's telling you, just do it. At the end of the day, you can't make the decision anyways. God will make it for you.
Mm-hmm. God's timing. As always.
What do we feel? Are we keeping on the sad track?
Oh, man.
Or are we going funny next? No, I'm talking about next episode.
Oh, next one.
The reason I'm saying is, how do we feel about talking about dwelling in the past? Talking like just living in the past. Because you said dwelling. And I thought like, hey, that's something.
I don't think that's a fun place to go.
We'll save it for later.
We'll save it for later, okay? Because this episode had me... I'm still like, ugh. I'm a little shaken up.
You're a bug zapper.
Yeah. Y'all already know to freaking have a box of tissues with you at all times.
Either have a box of tissues or toilet paper, because you're either going to cry or you're going to piss
yourself laughing. You never know what you're going to get with us. It's a either or. I didn't think that today was going to... I didn't think I was going to cry at all today.
Well, I didn't think so either. I literally thought we're going to like... I honestly thought we were going to be like, okay, the definition of anxiety is this, the definition of depression is this, and you can do this to feel like this. We didn't do that.
No.
You went in, Lindsay.
I think that's why I was so worked up, dude. Today, she even texted me and she's like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. I was... It had to come out.
Yeah?
I feel better.
That's good. You see, talking helps.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. I don't think you should ever. Nobody should bottle anything up inside, because then you're just going to explode. And I just don't think that's healthy.
It's not. You know, after starting Gemini Therapy, dude, a lot of my family didn't know how I felt. Had it not been for our second episode. That everybody...
Volume 1.
Yeah, Volume 1, Episode 2.
If you haven't watched it.
If you want to cry, warning, that video is intense. But it took that video for everyone to be like, what the F? Like, why didn't you ever say anything? How do you feel that way? Like, where do you carry all of those emotions and go about your day like
living
nothing?
Life.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're a very strong person, ma'am. Remember when I would tell you, like, you're going to be okay?
But at that moment...
That's why I'm saying, like, at that moment, you didn't feel like you were.
Dude, I was breaking. I was literally dying inside. But people saw me like, oh, she's fine. You saw me, I was fine.
We thought you were fine.
Does that make me fake?
No. That makes you dealing with your emotions in your own way. I think. Why would you be fake? It's like me, if I'm going to be pissed as F and then come to work and be mad at everybody. Well, no. You just kind of put a facade and you kind of just pretend like everything's okay. And when you're on your own, you just let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
This goes back to episode 1 when I asked you if you can tell anybody that is going through that right now, what would you say?
I still stand by what I said.
That you'll be okay.
Yes.
You don't have anything else to add?
No, you're gonna be okay. I feel like that's all there is to it. Maybe at freaking 2 in the morning when I'm asleep, I'll be like, oh, I could have said this, which is usually what happens. Because I have anxiety and I can't sleep and I'm thinking about freaking what I'm gonna do.
Dude, I think about such amazing things that I can say in the shower and then we come record and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, it never fails.
Maybe for next episode we can talk about communication.
Speaking of communication, my husband wants to come on here. And he wants yours to come on here.
Would you all want to see a video of us and our lovers discussing what you would call relationship matters?
Oh, hell.
Que se saquen la toalla. No, but for real, like, what if we talk like communicating with your loved ones, how you can't freaking get across to their thick head because men just like, no te dejan.
I think we have to.
Or do we jump into like toxica vibes?
We can be talking.
What do y'all want to hear? Do you want us to talk about like for next episode? Because Marky's not going to come on next week. Have to do like some convincing, okay? It's gonna take some time.
Ándale, nos va a regañar.
Hey, yeah,
we did it.
8:55.
No,
7:30.
Don't scare me.
We didn't say it. Okay, we'll edit it right now. We'll do it again. I'll just do it again. You'll put it in the front. Anyways, so do you guys for next video? Okay, so for next video, do you guys want us to talk about our toxic traits as girlfriends? Or would you guys want to hear like communication and relationship advice? I don't want to call it advice because I don't know how the fuck I'm making it.
I don't know, girl.
Let us know. You tell us. Leave a comment down below. Okay?
What you want us to talk about, because we're already like, meh.
Ya se nos está acabando la idea. Se nos está apagando la luz. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in our next video. Please don't forget to like,
subscribe,
and share.